Yeah.
So I'm going to call this regular meeting of the Marion County Board of Education to order, and I need a motion on item 1A.
I make a motion to approve the February 9th, 2023 board meeting agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
And tonight we have a few student ambassadors in the house, and they're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll follow by a moment of silence.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Take it away, ladies.
Hi, my name's Chloe Wise and I'm a sophomore. Right now, we're in the middle of Club Week at the high school. So there's a lot of like events coming up for several different clubs. Beta just got back from state convention. We brought home 22 awards this year, and we are continuously the biggest beta club in the state of Kentucky. FBLA is preparing for their convention on February 22nd. FCCLA is hosting Spirit Week at the high school next week. JROTC is going on a field trip on February 28th, 24th.
Sure, we'll have a great time.
They're going to Mammoth Cave.
Awesome.
FFA is hosting something about farmers dinner or lunch or breakfast on Saturday. Former FFA student Randall Marion, he graduated in 2020, is applying for the FFA farmer of the like country.
Oh, that's
And I think that's everything. I think we did everything. About clubs, I think that's it.
I'm Chloe Spears and I'm a sophomore. And last weekend we just had our homecoming. And last year's King and Queen, Ethan Allender and Aubrey Knott, they came down to crown Michael Miller and Lexus Moffman. So as the new King and Queen for this year. And then, as everybody knows, the construction. But the new rooms, they're like really open and we got the new boards. And it's just really exciting for how students get to display new art onto the empty walls and stuff. So there's that. And then our sophomores and juniors are preparing for the ACT on March 7th. And then March 6th, we're having a pep rally. And our Knights are going to be ready to kick the ACT out of the I'm Carla Spalding, and speaking of kicking it out of the park, baseball season and softball season is coming up. They're starting practice and everything, preparing for the season. I think their first game is like March 5th or something. Soccer, boys and girls are starting their preseason workouts. The basketball team is preparing for districts, which is coming up within the next week. I think JV's is this Saturday or next Saturday, so coming up. Tennis is preparing to come to like start the season. They had signups at the high school 2 weeks ago. Swim just came back from regionals. It was Saturday, and they were sending several people to state. There's like 4 or 5 of them going. I think that's it. Thank you guys for your time and for sponsoring our student ambassadors.
Thank you all. Awesome job, ladies. Okay, item 3A is public comment. Is there anybody signed up tonight to provide a public comment? Okay. Item 3B is the superintendent report. Mr. Brady?
All right, we got a lot of good things going on this month. But the first thing we want to start with is like to welcome our guest, Dr. Fred Carter. He's the director of coaching and mentoring for KASA, and he and I work together. As a new superintendent, I'm required to go through an internship program of sorts, and so he's here tonight to observe me. So, Dr. Carter, you want to say a few words?
Sure, be happy to be here this evening. You guys have an awesome district. I can tell you, there's a lot of interest around the state about things that are going on here. And I know there's been some construction snafu, but other than that, I think it's looking great. And you selected wisely this young man. You wouldn't be surprised to learn that he represents you well at all our meetings. I'm a retired superintendent, and this is actually my 12th year to work with new superintendents. And during that time, I've worked with 245 new superintendents. So that's a lot. That's every district in the state and then back over some twice. So that said, there's a lot of turnover in new superintendents and old superintendents as well. The average tenure of a superintendent in Kentucky right now is about 3.5 years, which is scary. That's less than a 4-year contract. For this year, we've already got 15 vacancies announced for next year, and it'll probably end up being about 25 to 30 all it does settle. So if you get a good superintendent, my advice is hang on to him or her. And I have high expectations for them, coach them up, but support them. And that's the success of the district, is the team working together. It's not just a superintendent and board team, but it's also all these supporting central office administrators, school level administrators, and everyone else. What Chris has to do this year, he's out 17 days with me. That's about a day and a half per month. We're in training with all the other new superintendents about law and finance and those types of things. Then there's 4 times I visit him here in the district. I came and spent a full day with him back early in the year, and then came back for an IOP team meeting with Kerry and with Chris and his mentor superintendent. I'm here tonight, and I'll be back in late May or early June for his capstone, which is kind of like a final exam in his case. And I'll be here, his mentor will be here. It's required to be a board meeting. It could be a regular board meeting, it could be a special call board meeting. That's your call, whatever you can do with that. What a lot of people do is that's right at the time when you'll be doing the end of year evaluation. So a lot of people combine those two things, because he'll be talking in his capstone about those 7 superintendent standards. That's what you'll be evaluating him on. So ideally, he could do his capstone, and then I would leave, and his mentor superintendent would leave, and you guys would go in closed session and do your evaluation of him on the same night. But again, that's your call, totally your call. So again, he's representing you well. He's about done with his in-person training. We do have a training at the end of this month that's tied in with the Kentucky School Board Association conference, and we try to tie in the training with those conferences. So he'll probably be going to that. He could be going about a day and a half early, so he can do a little work with other new superintendents. So this year, if he misses from this district, he probably with me. Next year, if he misses from this district, he needs to look for it. Any questions for anyone? Thank you.
Thank you.
Got another announcement. I would like to announce that Miss Veronica Deacon will be I see a little typo there. Veronica Deacon will be our social emotional learning educator and coordinator of support services. So she accepted that job earlier, and we just like to welcome her aboard. Would you like to say that?
Excited, very excited to be given this opportunity, and just can't wait to start.
We're glad to have you. You're going to be awesome. So always provide a little bit of a construction update. So the picture you see there is of the Marion County High School second hallway. It's well on its way. Actually, earlier we moved into that. So you can see it's very, very near completion. Just a couple little minor updates there to finish up. Our demolition of our first hallway upstairs has begun. And the exciting thing about that is it is a full month ahead of schedule. So we're making a lot of great progress on Marion County High School. Continuing on there, you see the office area there. So that, if for those of you who are unaware of where that is actually in the old library. So you can tell there some hallway pictures there of just how close they are to finishing that. Looks like they just have some ceiling work and some flooring there. So there's been a lot of significant progress there. And again, I would share with you that it is well ahead of schedule, the front office area. The Marion County Night Academy update there. So the Night Academy received new seating, as we've done in some of our other cafeterias. You can see there the booths that our kiddos really enjoys. So the Marion County Area Technology Center received a $25,000 grant through Komatsu to purchase some new equipment. So you can see their picture. They're accepting that donation. This is really exciting to share, but our students at LES, Miss Scottie's first and second grade class, held a book signing for a book that they published, Animals Around the World. So you can see some pictures there. I oftentimes talk about peak moments, and that is definitely a peak moment in this district. You can see the smiles on their faces and just how excited they were to publish that. Continuing on, Abigail White from West Marion, Jorge Leyva from LES, Aubrey Yates from Calvary, and Logan Carrico from Glasscock were the school winners of the annual Grandparents Essay Contest. And Yates was the winner of the district, and her essay has moved on to the regional competition. So we will invite her to a future board meeting. So the next thing, you can see it on the back wall there. We printed a vinyl rendering of it, but this is our poster in our Marion County High School Junior Skylar Redfern. That's her design for the MCPS banner that will be at the KSBA conference. So Miss Redfern is in, is she back there? All right, she's hiding from me. Miss Redfern is in Miss Ginger Allen's advanced graphic design class. So awesome. Glad to have you all. They're both hiding from me, but nice job. This was, we received quite a few submissions, and this was tough to pick. I'll be honest. I mean, they were really good, and we're super proud of Skylar for the work that she did with that, and for Miss Allen for leading them. So thank you all. Thank you all. Continuing on, so students at Lebanon Elementary School are practicing their dragon dance, and that's part of their Chinese New Year showcase, and that is actually going on as we speak. It's going on at LES right now. So it started at 5 p.m. So we're very proud of our students at LES as well. So I don't know if you had a chance to see this, but on the back side of on the hallway out the side of the boardroom, we have some art that has been displayed, and that's from Patrick Casey, Rain Isaacs, and Addison Milby. So they actually donated that. I went over and spoke to Miss Potter. We can display at central office, and she was just so happened working on the flags, which is one of my favorite things that they do. And she said, well, I don't know if the students will let you have it, but I'll ask them. And sure enough, they did, and they look very nice in our central office. So thanks to those students and to Miss Potter for working and doing the great job that they do each day. Kim's hurrying me through this, so you better speed up a little. So another peak moment to share. Saturday night, the 1993 boys and the 2013 girls state championship basketball teams were honored during the Marion County High School basketball game. So you can see some pictures there, a lot of smiles at that game, and a lot of positive comments by having them back. So again, just a positive time. So this preschool picture I just absolutely love. So we just wanted to share some smiles in our preschool classrooms and let everyone know that the pre-registration form for the 23 school year is now open. It's hard to believe that we're already gearing up for the next school year. I think we have 68 days left after today, so it'll be here before you know it. So just wanted to share that. So wanted to share this as well. So one of our kindergarten classrooms at Glasscock doesn't have windows in it, and one of our teachers donated her time off to come in and put windows in that classroom. I've already told her that when can I get over to the central office to do some painting, but look at this. I mean, that is quality work. I am so proud of her. It looks absolutely awesome. So if you get a chance to go to Glasscock and check this out, again, a lot of positive things going on there and a lot of happy people. They are very proud to show off the artwork there. So thanks to Miss Sarah Brussel for going above and beyond. And it wasn't even her classroom. It was actually Mr. Patrick Gribben's classroom. And so again, just awesome work. It just shows the true commitment that our employees at Marion County have. And again, just so proud of her.
Ms. Russell actually came in over Christmas.
Yeah,
break.
over Christmas break.
So it's a dedicated offering.
Few recognition and some positive for some of our folks, and that's February 10th is National School Counseling Week. So thank you to our counselors, Rachel Trent and Caroline Paula at Marion County High School, Veronica Deacon for a short time longer at Marion County United Academy, Michelle Welsh at Marion County Middle School, Ms. Dana Roney at Glasscock, Miranda James at LES, Kim Roeder at Calvary, Carly Waltrip at West Marion, Beth Gooch at the ATC, and Lori Tucker at UC Spalding. So thank you all. Continuing on, February 6th to the 10th, our Family Resource Youth Center Director Week. So again, thank you to our FRISC directors, Aaron Warfel, Van Gadberry, Sarah Mattingly, Abby Farnham, and Jessica Lewis. Continuing on, February is Career and Technical Education Month. So I'd like to recognize our career and technical education teachers and Miss McRae. I see her back there for the great work that they do each day. And then finally, February 15th is National School Resource Officer Appreciation Day. So thank you to our officers Smith and Officer Roney for what they do for us each day. And I would just add thank you to our Marion County Sheriff's Department. They provide quite a bit of resource and check out the county schools anytime we need anything. So I would, even though they're not resource officers, I would just thank them for the work that they do. And finally, just a couple of updates. We have 150 plus students who have signed up to take dual credit courses at the ATC this semester. That is an all-time high, so I just want to share that. MCPS is set to receive 300 donated desks from Northern Kentucky University. So we've been trying to figure out a way to get the high school some new furniture, and this just fell in our laps that Northern Kentucky had 300 desks that are in incredible shape, and all they ask is that we come and get them. So we're very, very happy to take those, and thanks again to Northern Kentucky University for helping us with that. And then just a quick note that next month's Board of Education meeting will be held at Lebanon Elementary School.
Okay. Item 3C is our emergency action plan for athletics and AEDs. Mr. Hall?
So I would just say thank you, Mr. Hall, for coming and doing this. Recently, we've had some conversations about AEDs in the community. So Mr. Holt agreed to come and update us on just what do we do in our schools, specifically with the athletic program. We have a lot of emergency plans for specific things, and Mr. Holt agreed to come and do this and to just update us on what the district does to prepare in the event of emergency. Mr. Holt, thank you again for doing this.
Thank you for having me. Well, at high school level, all of our coaches are AED and CPR certified. We currently have 3 AEDs on site. We have one that is always in the foyer of the high school. We have one at the fitness center, and we have one that we transport. Also, our trainer has one that is mobile. So our future plans, we want at least 2 more, where we have one always at soccer, we always have one at softball, we always have one at baseball, plus we have the 2 that we already have that are fixed. We have a venue plan specific for every venue, which goes over if there's a storm, lightning, an injury, what to do, from dialing the phone to, it goes into detail of don't even hang up till the dispatcher tells you to. We tell where the phones are, if there's a landline, but who's in charge of making that phone call. And it's all in the attachments that I sent to Mr. Brady that you can look over. We've got stuff for cold weather, heat, lightning, everything. Like I said, it's all in the attachments. So That's all I have, unless you all have any.
Yeah, so I would just add to that, our next steps are to make sure that our students are aware of our plan.
Yes.
And make sure that they're aware of our AEDs and what to do in case of an emergency. So we'll be working with students to ensure that they understand exactly what to do in case of an emergency. You know, we have a lot of people that work with our students, but we want to make sure that if in the event that an adult or a faculty member or a coach is not present, that a student would know what to do. Because when you have an emergency like this, every second counts. And we just want to make sure that, again, our students are the best protected they can be. Additionally, you know, I would add that we're also in the process of partnering with the Marion County EMS. They're going to start going around our schools each month and checking our AEDs, making sure that all of our pads and our batteries are good on those, and just, again, being a good partner with us. And then very soon we'll have an AED at every single school. So those are some of the things that we're working on in regard to keeping our students safe in the event of an emergency.
And the one thing I'll add last, every emergency plan for each venue is posted at that venue. So everybody has access to it if something was to happen. There is accessibility in it, at each venue.
So we did upload all of these documents to our board websites in the event that anyone in the community wanted to see those, they are there.
Yeah, I mean, I know this has been a national conversation since probably everybody in this room watched what happened or either saw highlights, what happened with the Buffalo Bills defensive player, DeMar Hamlin. And I think, you know, I watched a documentary not too long ago about all of the high schools across the country that have had this tragedy happen to them. And you see those videos and it's just, as a parent, it's terrifying to watch that. And I was just really pleased to hear how much support we provide, how many AEDs we have on site, that we have one that travels, because I know there's a lot of concern. My son is on the high school soccer team, and if we didn't have one that traveled, they would have to run from the soccer field to the high school to get one, or the fitness center to get one. And so I was thrilled to hear.
If they wanted soccer during soccer season, it stays in the concession stand at soccer on top of the refrigerator.
Perfect. So I was just really, when I had the conversation with Mr. Brady, very pleased with the level of effort that we put into protecting our students and making sure that our coaches are certified to save lives. Because like Mr. Brady mentioned, every second counts. And on that documentary, the survival rate for people who are shocked with an AED within the first 3 minutes is 90%. And once it gets past 11 minutes, it's devastating and it's a tragedy. So I'm glad to hear that those pieces of equipment are readily accessible for not only our student athletes, but our student population at large. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Hope, this is there was an attachment gave temperatures, what to do if it's minus 30,
Yes.
chill and all that. I was curious, were these developed, have we had these all along? Were they developed, or what's our source, or what's our?
We've had these, matter of fact, last year, a lady from the Courier Journal reached out to us and wanted our EAP, get them all over the state, and we sent them all to her.
Just something KDE requires.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, every school will have an emergency action plan.
Okay,
And these have been in place for a while.
Any other questions, Mr. Hall? Thank you.
Again, thank you, Charlotte.
Item 3D is our attendance and enrollment report.
Okay. As of today, so with preschool at Calvin Elementary, we've got 240 students, 470 at Glasscock, 368 at Level Elementary, and 407 at Western Elementary School. Then moving down to the middle school, current enrollment is 430, 541 at the Knight Academy, 659 at Marion County High School, and 135 at the UC Spalding Academy, which gives us a total of 3250, which we're still showing is down from 26 over last year. Okay. Moving on, our year's attendance. About the same. We can say it's maintaining, but it is. I did have a meeting with some DPPs recently, and this is the same agreement. So we're about in the middle of that group of counties. Still running about 92%. And next, we have our daily. And you can see we've got some green, but that's only because we had some poor attendance last year. So we're still we're more or less sort of staying where we were last year. And then we've got our NTI day, and that'll actually be a green when it's all calculated at the end. And then finally, we have completed 102 days as of today, as Mr. Bray said, 68 days remaining to be school year. Any questions? Thank you.
Item 3E is our finance report, Mr. Spalding.
So taking a look at the end of the month, January 2023 versus January 2022. You'll see the highlights there on the receipt side is our property tax is up about 8%. Vehicle tax is about 15%. Rest is pretty much in line. We did receive our first in lieu of payments, actually from the city level by housing authority. There's units there that are in lieu of as well. It is up a little bit from last year to 17,900, this year to 20,500. So I anticipate hopefully next month I'll be reporting along with the lieu of make sure Mark is so that time for that portion of those additional brick houses that are on that program as well. Interest is up, like we talked about. Seat pretty steady, it's increased, but the assessments have gone up, so we're up 2% year to date on seat. Medicaid's up due to some billing, and the others down some, like for except the number of students are tuition based preschool is less this year than in years prior. So looking at year to date, we're actually up $664,000 in receipts. Moving on down to the expenditures, for the most part, it's pretty flat where I like to see that. That makes it easier to prepare for. The two big ones that I would point out to is an expense side is plant operations at 2,600. We spent $184,000 more. A lot of this got to do with two things: the asbestos abatement in Marion High School and the cost of electricity being from year to date. The second one is student transportation's up $122,000. Diesel is up $83,000 year to date last year, and repair parts are up an additional $42,000. So those two things kind of make up that. Overall, expenses are up $94,000 from year prior, but receipts with the expenses were only about over $500,000. I pass that to you all the more than that breakdown of the year to date by personnel and some of those bigger ticket items, and you will see that. I did add a column for ship used toward close to the budget. I think that's kind of in some highlights of the bigger ticket items that we see on a regular basis.
Our next item on the agenda is item 4A, and I need a vote.
I'll make a motion to consider approval to advertise for fiscal year 23 auditing services. Second.
Any questions or comments here? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion for item 4B.
Move to consider approval of amending the 22-23 school calendar for February 20th to be a makeup day.
Thank you. Sorry, everybody. Any other questions or comments here? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion for item 5A.
I'd like to make a motion to consider approval to accept bids for standalone freezer at GES attachment number 3.
So we're just accepting these, so all in favor? Aye. And then I need a motion on item 5B.
Next motion to consider approval to award the bid for the standalone freezer at GS2 CNT Design for the amount of $27,164.47.
Second.
I'll second.
Just a little. It's little. Questions here? It was the only one received, so we should be good. All in favor? Aye. I need a motion on item 5C.
Make a motion to consider approval of fiscal year 23 to 24 site-based decision-making allocation guidelines.
I'll second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Need a motion on item 5D.
I'll make a motion to consider approval of BG2, BG3 construction documents for the new Calvary Elementary BG number 22-052.
I'll second. Guys, these look great. So I'd love for you to highlight what you're doing out there and.
Sure. Well, thanks for having us here tonight. We are here to see construction document approval. And I'll give you just a preview of what's ahead of us. We're going to be going out for public bids. We'll be taking those public bids and then we'll be back before the board to present those bids. So the documents that you're looking at are the set of construction documents, which is 173 drawings, technical specifications, and the VG2 is the outline specification for KDE. And the VG3 is the updated cost estimate. It is a KDE document too. Brian Buckner, who is project architect associate at Ross Hart, has been working diligently on the set of drawings and the design as well, and has been involved from the beginning. And we've got these boards prepared for both the central office here, and Scott's going to be delivering boards to Calvary Elementary School tomorrow, so they can display those in their lobby. And we've also put together a little PowerPoint presentation just to kind of give an overview of the project and where we are and where we're going.
I just want to kind of start off before we get into the nuts and bolts here. I'm incredibly excited about this project. Have been since day one. And I'm really thankful for everybody that lended a hand with us during design. We had a lot of folks, both from the administrative staff, the board members, as well as the school on-site staff there that were involved from both the advisory team early on, all our programming meetings, multiple design meetings. So without that input, it wouldn't be what it is today. We talk a lot about in our office. You can cobble together a school out of the KDE model program, but it's all of that input and all of that value that gets added in early on that make this a school that's really kind of rooted in this community and for that specific school's needs. Special shout out to Mr. Darrell as well. He obviously his experience has been invaluable for us in terms of the day-to-day operations there at the school. Everybody's been fantastic to work with. And just kind of a side note, we've got kids that are right around the same age. My oldest son just started kindergarten, so it's this is the first elementary school that I've worked on since that's happened. So it's kind of this one in particular is very near and dear to my heart, especially kind of bringing some of that parent perspective to this as well. So with that said, we can go ahead and get started. Up to the next slide here, please. So one of the things that we did early on, and instead of kind of jumping right into the floor plans, I kind of want to talk about some of the qualities of the building that we discovered kind of from our early programming processes. We had a lot of meetings there early on, and a lot of that allows us to gain a lot of information and kind of guidance for how this building and the plans of this building are going to develop. And so as we were going through the series of those meetings, we had several different kind of qualities that the school, the district, and everybody really wanted to have embodied in the new school facility. So the first one, if you jump to the next slide here, is to promote a sense of community and family. So this was a really big one. This is like one of the first things that everybody talked about. It was probably the most consistent one out of the grouping. We had digital questionnaires and surveys that we sent out to a wider audience of staff that were kind of outside of the advisory committee. And so that was one of the first things that kind of popped up. And so what was important about this was making sure that, we understand that Calvary as a school is a smaller elementary school. It's rooted in the community. And so making sure that we are approaching the design of this building in a way that supports that, reflects that. So a big part of that is making sure that we're breaking down the school, the building in a way that makes sense. It makes it feel communal and familial inside the building. So I think that we have achieved that in several different ways, and we'll kind of talk about that in a little more detail on the floor plans. The second one is creating spaces for extended learning opportunities. So this is something that we're seeing in most of the facilities that we're working on here, I would say in the past, 5 to 10 years or so. And what's really important about this is, learning should be happening everywhere, even outside of the classroom. So looking at spaces outside of the direct learning that engages in the classrooms, and looking at how can we, utilize some of our corridor spaces in more intelligent ways that offer the facility to be a little more versatile. And also looking at spaces that are
within the building that might be more of like a hybrid and flex space. So we'll talk about that a little bit more as well. But that's really important. And the third one, sparking curiosity and inspiring within the building. So both kind of from, an understanding that we are making this about their own community, but maybe even more importantly in some ways, making sure that they feel a connection to their outside world. It's giving them an opportunity to kind of wonder about the world around them. So we've done that in a few different ways. One of the big ones is that we utilized the space that's typically allocated for a computer classroom in the KDE model program, and we've turned that into a hybrid STEM lab that's connected to the media center. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a minute. The last one here, the media center as the heart of the building. So this is something that the media center currently at Calvary is kind of situated in the geographic middle of the building. But thinking about how the building is developed and using the media center as kind of a centralized part that everything kind of develop around. One of the things that I really like about the way that Calvary has kind of manifested this idea is that as you walk in the front door, one of the first things you see is the media center. So it really kind of anchors this space as an environment for learning. And I think that's really important that you kind of see that as you walk in the front door. So hopefully, as we kind of walk through the floor plans and some of the renderings here, you'll start to see that, this school, the design for this facility has embodied a lot of those qualities that, we talked about from, the first couple meetings that we've had. I'll go through this pretty quickly. This is the site plan. So you can see in the kind of the faded outline here is the existing building footprint of Calvary. You can see that the existing parking is kind of to the north right now. There's play areas off to the plan southwest here. So the new development for the building is going to be occurring off to the plan west on the site. That made the most sense in terms of kind of the topography of the site, as well as kind of its adjacency to existing site utilities and everything that the site particularly has to offer. We have access coming in off this road here. That would be for both kitchen, staff parking, deliveries, as well as bus traffic coming into the building, onto the side. We'll be dropping off on the plan west side of the building. That bus loop is separated from the parent traffic, so that is, again, is a KDE regulation, but that allows that bus loop to function independently of the parent loop. Parent loop here in the front is where parents and visitors will enter the building. There's a central kind of front entrance to the building. We make that very apparent, so everybody kind of coming onto the site knows exactly where they're heading before they even get into the parking lot. So that's important both from a wayfinding perspective as well as from a safety perspective of controlling your property here in the front. We have outdoor learning, and actually, if you flip to this next slide here, this is an enlarged plan. I've rotated this, so maybe it looks a little different than the first floor plan, but in order to kind of explain this a little bit better, the preschool classroom has an outdoor play area that's directly connected to it with a door. So those students have a secured play area that's about 1,500 square feet. The STEM classroom, the media center, and the art classrooms all have direct access outside. So they have direct access to outdoor learning. And so we find that's really, important, especially at the elementary level, that they have that type of access and they're allowed to kind of move outside of some of those spaces, both from an art perspective, but also kind of doing science and things like that within the building, and having that direct access, I think is going to be really nice. So let's go to the next slide here. So this is, we had a little bit of an animation in the PowerPoint presentation. So we'll just kind of flip through these really quickly on the PDF here. So this is out of the Revit model. When we do our drawings, we're doing it in a program called Revit. So it's all kind of, we build it as we're walking through developing the floor plans. We also develop it from a massing and volume perspective to generate all of our wall sections. So this is what this looks like if the kind of roof had been removed from the building. And I think that, one of the things, if you can look at a floor plan, I'm used to looking at floor plans all day long, but not everybody is used to looking at that. So we thought we would do something a little bit different in terms of this presentation, just to make it a little bit easier to understand. So this is the kind of volume of the building with that roof removed and what that looks like in terms of the interior space. Next slide here. And keep scrolling down here. There's going to be some duplicate sizes. This is supposed to be kind of like an animated sequence here. Here we go. So this is the highlight of the main corridor. So as you enter the building from the front entrance, the yellow portion of the building is where you see, as soon as you walk through that secure entry vestibule. So you have a really good line of sight all the way down towards the end of the building. So that's really important. One of the things that kind of goes back to the idea of this being more of a community rooted building, is that there's, you know, in the current Calvary, there's several kind of disconnected hallways. They can't always have good line of sight throughout the building, so this kind of alleviates a lot of those issues by having the ability for, you know, instructors or administrative staff to be able to see very clearly all the way down to the central core of the building. Directly on your left, as you enter the building, is the administrative suite. So this kind of tan color space here. Scroll on to the next image. You may have to jump ahead. No, there we go. So here we're looking at when you enter the secure entry vestibule for the school, you'll have to be buzzed in, obviously, outside of drop off time in the morning. So you'll be buzzed into the secure entry vestibule, then you have to be buzzed in again to come into the reception area before you have access to the rest of the building. Behind the reception area, you have the kind of primary offices. There's a conference space, the FRC Space Family Resource Center is located there as well as the guidance suite for the school. Staff workroom, records room, single-use occupancy toilet, as well as the first aid room and their assigned restroom for that space. So all that kind of consolidated in that area. The guidance office is located right next to one of the back corridors there, so students have really easy access without having to go all the way through the reception area to get to a guidance counselor. Okay, so on the opposite side of administration, we've got the kitchen and the cafeterias. The cafeteria is the other space that you would see upon immediately entering the building. That was also really important for us. You know, we kind of break this building down in a way that has the kind of shared community space functions as one kind of component of the building here on the plan north, so that we have the ability to lock down the rest of the school independently of the shared spaces. So, you know, if they have any type of use after hours, whether that's a basketball game or, you know, Boy Scout troop using the cafeteria, they have access to that after hours. They can control who comes and goes in those spaces and not having access to the rest of the classrooms. So then the next slide here, the gym. So the gym actually, you can start on the next slide here. We'll have both of them all pulled up. The gymnasium and the cafeteria are linked by a raised platform that functions as a stage between the two spaces. It has an operable panel partition that can close off on the cafeteria side, so that you use the cafeteria or the gym for performance. The gym has 360 bleacher seats. It's a retractable bleacher system, so that can get pulled back for use, you know, kind of general use during the daytime. When they have a full, need for all 360 seats that can pull it out. Off of the raised platform space, we have some additional expanded storage as well, which is kind of nice to have there, kind of direct access both off of the gym and the raised platform area. All right, next slide. Okay, media center. So in red here, this is the media center. Media center, again, is kind of the heart of the building. It's kind of situated right in the middle of all the shared common spaces off of the main corridor. It also has kind of easy access from all the other classrooms in the school there towards the plant south. Let's scroll on to the next slide. Talk about this for just a second. So the media center at Calvary right now is 900 square feet. So that's about 100 square feet larger than a standard classroom. So the media center specialist that's at Calvary right now is both kind of doing the media center specialist job. She's also doing a lot of work in terms of STEM and makerspace type learning in that area. So in that 900 square feet, it's really compressed to be doing that much activity. And so one of the things that we talked about very early on was the KD model program for our media center of the school this size is roughly 3 times the size of what they currently have. So it's about 2,600 square feet. So adding on to that and having that ability to connect the STEM and the flex classroom to the plan south of the media center also offers this extended space that they're able to use. And so with the media center specialist primarily being housed in the media center, having direct access to do STEM activities out of that classroom is going to be really great. And so there's another operable partition there that can open that up. So both from a science perspective, a science class is not something that's required by KDE for an elementary school. So having this as an option that's not just a computer classroom where you're locked into that one use and more of a flex space that can be much more versatile to the needs of the school on any given day, I think is really, really important. It is going to be a great feature here in this building. The other thing, and I'll note here, is that we have been seeing a change in how media centers function in schools. All the way up to the high school level. So we're seeing them much more of a hybrid space. We're seeing them, house staff meetings after hours, housing full classrooms worth of students. So not just a space to kind of access resources and analog resources like books, but, the digital access and space for kind of flexible classroom furnishings there was also really important. So we've kind of broken that out into a couple different zones here. If you slow down to the next slide, you'll see the rendering of the proposed media center. So we have kind of pushed most of the book storage and the analog storage up to the exterior walls. And we have a couple of areas that are in the middle of the space to help to kind of define some of the other spaces within the media center. So we have space for kind of small group learning, individual spaces, as well as classroom size furnishings for that space as well to be used for a variety of different uses. Keep scrolling. Okay, so the blue here on the screen is showing the classroom spaces. You can go to the next slide, that's fine. So the classroom spaces, we're looking at both standard classrooms. So for kindergarten through 5th grade, all of these classrooms are down here on the plain south of the building, and the shared classrooms. So the music classroom, the FMD room, and the art classroom are located kind of in the central core of the building to have kind of equitable access for all other students. The way that we looked at breaking up the classrooms here was the thought of kind of having 2 small learning communities in the building. So one for early elementary and then one for upper elementary. So there's one grouping of students that's going to be K through 2, and then the opposite side, the left-hand side of the left-hand side wing, if you will call that, is 3 through 5. So we've also distributed the resource classrooms, which are in the dark blue color, close around the classroom, so they're not having to travel all the way across the school to get to a resource and have that kind of intervention component. The other thing that we've looked at, actually start with the next slide here. I think this gets into the enlarged plan. Is looking at areas for extended learning. So one of the qualities that they want to see in the school was being able to support that feeling of extended learning. So one of the things that's really important about that, Calgary right now, you have a lot of traveling teachers that come to that school, both gifted and talented outside interventionists that come in and meet the students, and they don't have anywhere to go. So sitting in the hallways or meeting the students there. So making sure that we're providing spaces for those outside traveling instructors to come and meet the students, whether that's individually or in a small group, was really, really important. The other thing, we were talking about social emotional learning earlier, these types of spaces promote collaborative learning with students and provide, any space that's outside of the classroom that's a little bit more fun and engaging. So these aren't just type of common spaces, but these are areas that have access to digital technology. They've got reading risers. So we'll show these here in this next rendering here. Just a second. Keep going. So this space here is what that extended learning area looks like. We have 2 areas. We've got a larger one that's off to the plain north on both these sides that will house, again, you have larger groups of students in these areas, and then ones that's tucked off of the main corridor through this space that can be used for smaller groups of students. And then collectively, if you had maybe 1 or 2 classrooms full worth of students, you can actually break across the corridor and have equal access to the monitor, the digital monitor that we have on the wall. So that can be used as a larger kind of component there as well. We have marker boards, again, the reading risers that are in that space, and the idea that these are going to be more kind of flexible, versatile furnishings in that area. Go back up to the previous slide with the floor plan of the classrooms real quick, please. So inside, I see the little blow up here of the classrooms. On the right-hand side, as you enter the corridor, you've got 2 sets of doors here. This side, you go off to the plan right. You'll be in the early elementary wings, so the K through 2. Off to the plain left, you'll be in the 3 through 5. So those 5, each of those banks, they have their own extended learning area as well as a resource room that's combined with that. One of the special things to note about this, while we're on the floor plans, obviously safety is a big component of a lot of things that we look at. It's certainly in front of mind for all of us, especially in the educational design field. So a few of the things I want to point out about Calgary that I think make it incredibly safe. One being, obviously, we're doing some of the best practice from a design perspective, like the secure entry vestibules. We've got a really robust door hardware system that's going on this project, but the way that we have laid out the school offers some benefits. One, we have 3 sets of doors that are able to lock down, that can be locked down from the reception desk. So you have 3 different points of entry that can be controlled to protect students by time, It helps to, look at school security as a layered approach to the building. The second thing, we have an ICC 500 storm shelter on this building. Since it's a new educational facility, that's something that was adopted in the 2018 building code. So on the plan right side, that bank of classrooms is actually behind a 2-hour firewall. It has a concrete lit roof, and it's really like a bunker in terms of how it's constructed. Each of the windows has a door shutter system that can close over that and be locked. So it is designed to go up to an EF5 tornado. Again, it's right next to the other classrooms, so that the youngest students in the school don't have to move anywhere. The upper elementary students can move into that space. So, using that space versus a gym is a smart move. It's less in terms of not having to use a long span structure and fortify that. So, a lot of things that went into this from a school safety perspective that we're really excited about. I think that we're starting to see the evolution of that happening with buildings that were designed today. For sure. Next slide. So this takes you back to the floor plan, and goes back to the massing with the roof on it, and the last, just to see the roof shape. And this is the front entrance of the building. So hopefully, a lot of the qualities that we talked about early on in programming have really embodied themselves in the design of this building. I'm really excited about it. I think it's been a really fun process. Is there any questions?
Really excited.
Yeah, we are too. Well, we're excited to kind of move into this next phase of bidding. And hopefully next time we come to you to talk about this project, we'll have quality and good numbers in our hands to present to you for approval and construction.
Thank you guys very much. The
Thank
image,
you all,
the renderings are great. I think there are a lot of people out there that have trouble visualizing. You guys look at plans all day, but the rest of it done. So those renderings are really, really helpful to see a picture of what this is going to look like. It's wonderful. So thank you very much.
For the public, that's the actual brick and everything, correct?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, we went through brick selections and metal panel selections. All kinds.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. Okay, so that was item 5D, and I guess all in favor of approving those documents? Aye. Need a motion on items 5E.
I move to consider approval of pay app number 13 to Driggs Enterprises in the amount of $789,747.47 for work performed and $410,672.49 to vendors for materials on the Marion County High School project BG number 21-103.
Second. Questions here? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion on item 5F.
Make a motion to consider approval of change order number 16 for the Marion County High School project BG number 21-103 in the amount of $2,159.50.
I will second.
Any questions here? All in favor? Aye. Motion on item 5G. I make a motion to consider approval of the contract with Ross Tarrant for 6 outdoor classrooms. Okay. All in favor? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion on item 5H.
Motion to consider approval to declare 0.73 acre tract of land surplus for the educational needs of the district located adjacent to the Marion County Technology Center and Patriot.
Second.
Any questions here? All in,
What's the next steps after this?
So the next step will be we'll advertise, we'll take bids, and then once we do that, you all will potentially accept those bids, package that with, we'll put a memo based off the appraisal that the license appraisal has given us. And once we accept the bids, we'll have to go to KDE for approval to along the deed and the plot and appraisal to accept before we move forward to deeding it over to the successful Better.
Other questions? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion on item 5I. I will make a motion to consider approval to request a finding to the current district facilities plan to consider construction of a new Lebanon Elementary School rather than renovating due to exceeding the 80% ABE rule. Questions here?
And as excited as I am about Calvary, I'm probably more excited about this. I live in elementary as opposed to working on an old building, so.
Because it's still, this will be exciting for the students and the staff.
I'm an alumnus of Lebanon Elementary School, and I'm excited to see this happen for this community too. I think it's just going to be a wonderful point of pride for them and something that school group can truly just celebrate every single time something new comes of it. So I'm excited for this opportunity and looking forward to making it a reality. All in favor? Aye. I need a motion on item 5J.
Move to consider approval of 2023-24 Roberts Insurance for student accident insurance renewal for $82,476.
I'll second. Okay. Mr. Brady, or Scott, you want to talk about?
I would just add that a positive on this is while many districts are seeing an increase in their student accident insurance, Marion County Public Schools did not have an increase. So this is the same amount that we paid last year, which is pretty amazing. And I would give the credit to our staff for ensuring that our students are safe and that, that they're doing their job and doing it well. So that's something to celebrate.
As always, thank you all so much. Other questions or comments there? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion on item 5K.
I'll make a motion to consider approval of board resolution regarding secondary school configuration.
Second.
Peggy's down fast. She's got every time. Okay. Thank you. So the Board of Education resolution that we are approving this evening, or will potentially approve this evening, is whereas the Marion County Board of Education voted on March 9th, 2017 to reconfigure the secondary schools to their current state. And whereas creating a class schedule that accommodates the needs of all schools has proven to be problematic. And whereas the public has made it clear that a school district containing 2 middle schools serving students in grades 6 through 8 is preferable. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Marion County Board of Education supports returning the secondary schools in Marion County Public Schools to their previous configuration, such that there shall be 2 middle schools serving students in grades 6 through 8 and 1 high school serving students in grades 9 through 12. Be it further resolved to ensure a successful transition, this organizational change shall go into effect no sooner than the 24-25 school year. Questions or comments here?
I think this has been very well thought out, and we've listened to a lot of individuals, including parents, talked to students. The whole community has had an input on it. We've looked at data from everything from discipline to academic, and so I think a lot of thought. Principals have been engaged in conversations. I don't think anybody's been left out. And I'm just excited to see that it go back to the original configuration. I think that will make the middle schools a little smaller. It will put the 9th grade back with the high school in order for the scheduling and the curriculum to be a little easier accessible, and also help athletics and the academic teams. So it's been a look at by this board and a lot of people, a lot of different things, not just one thing. So
We've had conversation in our last working meeting about this, and I'll say what I told them before, that in 2017, the board tried something different, and I admire that because, you know, it hadn't been done before, and sometimes things just don't work. And so, you know, it's our duty to correct that. And, you know, and there may be some questions as to why not do it sooner. And the reason for that, there are many factors that go into it. One, with the high school construction. Two, and this may be the most important, is we don't want to rush it. We don't want to rush the teachers into anything. We don't want to rush parents. We want the word to get out so that everybody can get a chance to buy into this. And so, you know, we're listening.
I would add to that I have been convinced that the parents and the students and the teachers and all the people involved really truly want this. And so I'm honored that we're able to react to the people who put us on this board and the people who serve the education community here in a favorable way. So I very much support it.
Peggy?
I know, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I think we took a chance and tried to do something out of the box, and and the community together figured out it's not working the way we were hoping it would working. But we're willing to try anything for our students in order to make the community a whole lot bigger and better place. So we're going back to it. I think is a good change.
And I would concur with all of the comments here. I mean, I was a part of that vote in March in 2017. And so the board voted in March, and this thing was implemented in August. And so one of my significant concerns that when we considered taking it back to the traditional configuration, that we did so mindfully and thoughtfully and with plenty of time to prepare and shift, because I think a lot of conversation has happened around this topic. And while all of us would love nothing more than to snap our fingers and it's done, that's not the way that it works. And so if we truly want to get it right for our students, our staff, and our families, we need to take the appropriate amount of time to make a transition this significant. So I know that everyone is eager to see this change come to fruition. And I think it will be a positive thing for this community at large, but I do, again, all good things come to those who wait. So I think we can be patient and thoughtful about this process, and I think it'll truly be successful in the long term. So thank you. All in favor? Aye. I need a motion on, just acknowledgement on item 5L. I so acknowledge the field trips, and I need a motion on item 6.
I'll make a motion to approve student learning and consent items A through N.
I'll second.
I was going to say a special thanks to Kentucky Pilgrimage Company for donating $27,900, as well as the National Guard for donating $1,500. We really appreciate our community and working with everyone.
And we did invite them to the board meeting tonight, but unfortunately they weren't able to attend. Again, thank them.
Yeah, and if you would provide a contact name and address so that we can do that, that would be wonderful. Other questions and comments here? All in favor? Aye. Item 7 is acknowledgement of personnel actions. So acknowledged, and I need a motion on item 8.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move that this meeting be adjourned.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Enjoy the sunshine.
Thank y'all, everybody.